Hi everyone, welcome to the new video. So I got this comment from Mohammad Mustafa that to make a video on how to explain or how to give introduction about ourselves and how to explain the roles and responsibility and day-to-day activity about our project as a DevOps engineer. So I thought of making a video separately for it because uh, this has been asked, and also I made the video very long back, but again with the improved version, we are here. So about how to start our introduction. So basically, you should start with that. My name is Sakshi Gautam, and I have total 5.4 years of experience. I am working in XYZ company. Before this, I was in this company, like whatever your professional experience, how many companies you have switched, and and tell about your current company where you're working in. Then you can tell about the base location if you want. Yeah, you can tell about your that you have done your graduation from BTech in Information Technology branch. This you can tell. Then you can start with that currently my role and responsibility in my current organization is working on the automation part of CI/CD pipelines, then managing the infrastructure, creating the infrastructure if requirement comes, doing the deployments in dev, QA, and prod branch, then monitoring and observability, and working with support if any production issue, or if any production release is there, or working on the deployment part. So basically, you can choose any one of the topic, like two three things which you are comfortable and which you are doing. People are also working on the migration part. As a DevOps engineer, you work on migration of the pipelines of the infrastructure. Maybe your it was applications were running on VMs earlier, and now you're migrating to AKS, EKS, or on-prem to cloud. So there are many type of migrations also. As a DevOps engineer, you are given responsibility too. So whatever you are comfortable in and you are working, like if you're working on CI/CD pipeline, or if you're working on specifically the automation part of debugging issues, if you're working on debugging issues of production deployment, if you're working on with support team in debugging issues, or if you're working on infrastructure provisioning, if you're working on the monitoring part more, so highlight those points. So basically, I'll say that I'm working on migration of pipelines, and then after telling about your roles and responsibility that you're holding in your current organization, you should tell about the tools you are using. So regarding my skills and the tools that I have good grip on is like Jenkins, GitHub, Linux servers, shell scripting, then Docker, GitHub Actions, then start with Docker, then Kubernetes, and the cloud platform like AWS, Azure, Terraform, and you can tell about Ansible if you know. If you can tell about the observability tool, you can tell that I have experience on Prometheus, Grafana, ELK, and Python scripting. So whatever tools you know, just add on. If you know GitOps tool, add that also. So your introduction should be your name, your years of experience, the current company you're working in. If you worked on many companies, tell your previous experience too. Then your current role and responsibility in your current organization. Then what tools you are working, and what tools have you worked. So currently what tools you are working and you have worked previously, add on everything. If you have earned any certification, then you can highlight that certification too. So this is regarding your introduction. Now, what you can add as a DevOps engineer, there are many things. First of all, our day looks like that we log in, and mainly we follow agile methodology. So we have sprints, and according to the sprints, we have tickets assigned. So we have to work on those tickets, and how long is the sprint, how do you, like, if your sprint is 2 weeks, then first week is mainly, gathering the requirement, working on the development part. Second sprint, like second week, is mainly on the testing part and the validation part, and you try to complete the tickets as whatever it's assigned. But if there are any blockers and the ticket is not completed, then there should be a proper justification and mail or a chat approval, so that the ticket can be moved to the next sprint. Now after that, apart from this, whatever things you have, so mainly your day looks like, whatever tickets are, the mainly the tickets assigned are look like that you are creating the CI/CD pipelines for the newer applications, or you are working on enhancing those application pipelines application, because sometimes it is like the pipelines are slow, some scan is missing, due to which production deployment is not happening, or it requires some optimization. So you're working on that enhancement, because after all, DevOps is like how reliable and how smooth pipeline you can offer to the development team, so that your software application deployment is happening smoothly. So that is one thing, the tickets are assigned. Second thing is, if there are any production deployments, and a release is happening, so that ticket is assigned to you to work on the production release and making the all the prerequisite working, so that on the day of production deployment, the production deployment happens smoothly. If there is any outage or production issue, so that requires debugging and urgent look. So of course those tickets are assigned, and support team connects with us, and we have to sit with them and try help them to resolve this issue and investigate the logs and everything, so that the application comes up. So that is also the responsibility of a DevOps engineer, and we get the tickets assigned of that too. If you're working on the cloud infrastructure more, so we get the tickets of managing the cloud infrastructure and optimizing the cloud infrastructure, maybe right sizing, maybe whenever you deploy an application, there are new requirements always coming because of the application development code enhancement. So you need to work on that, and you need to work on the infrastructure, you need to work on you know maintaining it, you need to work on creating the terraform code, you need to work on optimizing it. So basically these kind of cloud infrastructure provisioning and automation, always tickets come. Then monitoring and alerting part, like working on creating the monitoring alerts for the application, so that whenever the outage is there, you are almost you don't there is less downtime. So basically creating a monitoring and observability dashboard for your application, that is also one thing that DevOps engineer work. So this is how you can explain the roles and responsibilities according to your comfort, because at the end I am listing out what all DevOps engineer work on, and you can enhance, or you can align your introduction according to that, so that the questions are asked according to that. Then you about the real project. So basically, if you are saying that you are working on CI/CD pipeline creation, so you need to tell about that, where your stores are, where your code are stored, and then what tool have are you using to create a pipeline, what stages are you including in that pipeline, the scans, the security measures, where you're keeping your secrets, what tool you are using for that, and how do you start. Like if the new requirement come, you have to connect with the development team, you try to understand the tech stack, you try to understand their app deployment steps, manual deployment steps, you try to list down everything, what all bottlenecks are there, what can be a blocker. After requiring after listing out the requirement, you start working on the creation of pipeline and testing it on dev environment. You need to also tell that if you're working on a Java based application, what build tool you are using. If you're working on Python based, if you're working on .NET, Node.js, or any other tech stack. There are many other tech stack tool, applications also. So how you're working, you need to explain that. Then if any error comes during deployment, then how are you debugging those issues? explain that I am working on the project where issues come due to pods going into crash loop back state, image pull back off, or due to crash loop back is due to something OM killed error, or there is memory, or there are any configuration errors in the environment field and something is missing, or there is a pod pending state where PVC or some scheduler is not able to schedule a pod inside the node due to taint and toleration. It can be anything. If you're working on Kubernetes, if you're highlighting that you're working on Kubernetes migration or infrastructure, so you can tell that earlier application was running on VM. Now you're creating an infrastructure, you're designing a system on how your applications will run on EKS and why you have chosen EKS, then how you are designing your infrastructure. What system design you should know, that how you are creating a VPC, what CID are you using, how you're creating subnets, how you are, what kind of subnets you are using, where you are keeping your application, and the layers, then the networking, how it is happening, and everything, that networking part, load balancer, ingress, everything you should know. Then if you're talking about the deployment part, that you're working on deployment, then you should know about the process, that in your project how deployment is happening. Like if there is GitOps tool you are using, or you are using Helm charts, or you are doing it through kubectl command also, and how you are working on, if you're using kubectl, how you can work on more enhancement on it. You should have clear idea about it. So if you're working on infrastructure as code, if you're doing maintaining infrastructure, and so how you are maintaining it's you through UI or through Terraform, if it is through Terraform or cloud formation, then how you are writing your code, what approach, modular approach, and how you're creating stacks and everything, you should be very clear about. So basically I'm telling all the possibilities, but you need to frame your introduction according to your comfort level. You need to also tell about the issues that you have faced, so that interviewer comes, they know that you are actually working and you are not just blabbering. The challenges you face are like production incidents and the deployment failures and the performance bottleneck. Sometimes the pipeline is very slow, so how you work on it. If there is Kubernetes troubleshooting, or there is some security compliance requirement, because production deployment will not happen if your pipeline is not compliant. That is also one of the biggest challenge in DevOps, and also to follow everything with compliance. So that is what we are working on: enhancement, on security, on infrastructure, on automations, and making the life of developers easier and easier. So I hope I have discussed about all the possible things. Please try to take a note of your introduction very nicely, and include only those points where you are comfortable in, and you can give back your answers when the cross question happens. So yeah, that's all for today's video. I hope it's helpful. Please let me know views in the comment section. Till then, take care. Bye.